made in the indictment. So with relevance being
Your Honor,
the bar that it is.
Hang on, don't interrupt.
I'm withdrawing.
So, Young Thug got pretty emotional in court, and it's no surprise since this YSL trial is looking shady. The judge actually ruled on attorney Max's request for a fair trial and ended up sending the whole prosecution team to Brady training. Basically a course to remind them how to do their jobs properly. It's kind of embarrassing for the prosecutors, honestly. The judge even called them out for putting stuff in front of the jury that they weren't supposed to. Long story short, the prosecutors are being sent back to school to learn what they can and can't do with evidence. It's crazy how messed up this trial is, but the judge still isn't calling for a mistrial, which means Thug is probably facing some prison time. This whole thing feels a lot like what Boozy said about YNW Melly. When the feds want you, they'll do anything to get you, even if it doesn't make sense. They're just piling on more charges. Thug's legal team is still fighting for a fair trial, but the judge keeps denying their motions. Max, one of Thug's lawyers, even went off in court about a secret meeting the prosecutors had, which they weren't supposed to do. Max was so mad he called out the judge in court, saying this trial shouldn't even continue. This whole situation has blown up on social media. Lil Baby even chimed in, saying Thug should be coming home soon, and 42 Doug thinks the trial should have been dismissed by now. A lot of people think the prosecutors have it out for Thug and are just trying to send him to jail. Meanwhile, lawyers are saying this trial is a joke and predicting that it might not continue with a new judge. They're saying if a new judge takes over, they'll have to start the whole thing over from scratch, which could push the trial out to like 2030. This is supposed to be the longest trial in Georgia history, and it's just dragging on. And get this, the second judge in the case only lasted 1 day before recusing themselves. So now there's a third judge, Judge Page. On her first day, Thug's legal team hit her with 20 motions for a mistrial and bond. People are already predicting that Thug's lawyer is going to be shouting for a mistrial this week. Even Kodak Black's lawyer said the case is off the rails and called it an instant mistrial. Judge Glanville, who was originally on the case, got removed because he had Thug's defense attorney arrested in the middle of the courtroom. Now Thug's co-counsel, Keith Adams, is filing more motions for a mistrial, and hip-hop reporters are saying this trial is in shambles. Rappers are reacting too, saying they need to give Thug a mistrial and free him. The main reason this trial is such a mess is that the prosecutors aren't doing their jobs right. The judge even said they weren't prepared with evidence, so he excluded it from the trial. Then, the prosecutors had a meltdown in court when an ex-investigator with the Atlanta Police Department took the stand and got into it with Thug's defense attorney, Max. This trial has been going on for 2 years, and the prosecutors still don't have much evidence against Thug. They're basically relying on testimony from a guy named Adrian Bean, who snitched on Thug back in 2013. But now, in 2024, Adrian says he doesn't remember anything from back then, which is a problem for the prosecution. Without his testimony, the only other evidence they have is some weak stuff linking Thug to YNW Melly and Lil Wayne. But it's not strong enough to hold up in court. In the end, this trial is a disaster. Thug's lawyer even called out the entire Atlanta Police Department, saying they're lying about the evidence. The judge isn't having it though, and told Thug's lawyer to back off unless he has solid proof. Adrian Bean, the guy who could have helped the prosecution, says he can't remember anything from 2013 because it's been so long, and he's moved on with his life. So, yeah, this trial is all over the place, and it's looking more and more like a mistrial might be the only way out. The whole thing's a mess, and the prosecutors are just grasping at straws at this point.